All right, well, another bright, shiny day. We ended up getting up early this morning because we were supposed to have a weekly visit from our home nurse, but apparently something came up. At the office, they had people call off, so we got removed from the schedule this morning. So we were up early, so we went to Walmart, did some running around, came home. Now I'm going to crawl under here and see about getting the oil pan out of here. And once I get the oil pan down, before I go to put the gears on, I'm going to clean up all of these gasket surfaces, because I can just do it all at once instead of doing it one. So I'm going to clean all the gasket surfaces up. I can put the thermostat back in. I can get the gears on, get the upper part of the timing chain cover back with the gasket in place, and then that will just leave the oil pan gasket when it comes in. So that's going to be the goal. So I grabbed some deep sockets that I think are the correct ones. Shit, I gotta go back in the garage and get my Torx bit thingy so I can get the starter out of the way, because I still got those two weird bolts to deal with that. So grab that and then we'll get on this. Alright, so see if I can get that to focus. So that's some sort of hex bit, Torx bit kind of bolt. I was able to get a 3/8 on it, so I got it out. But this is the only bolt like this, and starters are prone to going bad. So my thing is going to be, I'm going to go to the hardware store and replace these two bolts with bolts that actually work. I think that's the goal. So I'm going to go ahead and get these out of there, and then I'll replace these when I go to put the starter back in. Okay, so I had to take the two bolts off that were holding the dust shield on. I only had two. The other two are not in place. And the oil pan is 7/16 along the sides, and then there are 4 1/2" at the corners. On the front, it's the second bolt in, and in the rear, it's the actual corners. So almost got it completely out. So a few more minutes and we should be able to start cleaning things up. All right, so that goes across the back. You can see this pan has leaked. The gasket did not stick to the pan at all. I am going to clean up the pan the best I can. I'm really surprised how clean the bottom of the pan is. I actually ran my finger through everything. It's got some buildup, but it doesn't have any loose stuff, so maybe they dropped it at some point and cleaned it. My guess is probably not, but so far so good. So next thing we need to do is clean the pan, start getting all this gasket material off. So I'm gonna set that over in my cleaning area, and we're gonna scrub this down with a brush. Okay, I got the dust cover for the flywheel cleaned up. Looks pretty decent. And I got the strap that goes across the oil pan cleaned up. Now I've ran out of cleaner. That's one thing I forgot to pick up from the parts store. So not going to worry about the oil pan right this second. I can start getting this gasket material off of here. You can see the gasket is still stuck in place. So we'll get the gaskets all cleaned up, and then we can start putting the timing chain and the thermostat back together. So I started taking the gasket here off on the water pump housing, or not water pump, but thermostat housing on the block side. This pulley was in my way because what I'm using is one of these rubber flapper wheels that's for taking off like stickers and decals. And you can see where I started. It takes it down really easy, really quick. So better than scraping. So hopefully I'll be able to get the whole motor side done with that. Okay, just like that, got all the gasket off. I'm gonna come back in here with a shop vac and get all the dust off once I get this all cleaned up. But yeah, it just peels that gasket right the hell out of there. So that's kind of nice. A lot easier than scraping. Now the fun part, I need to do the timing chain cover mounting surface. I don't know if there's a gasket. Kind of feels like, I'm not sure what's left on there. So we'll see. Alright, so I've got it cleaned from right here where this bolt is all the way to this one. You can see how clean that came out. Nice thing about using the little rubber thing, what's left is very thin gasket, and then I can just pretty much just take this one and just scrape off what was left. So it really cut down on my time on cleaning. The only reason why I haven't got that part down there, and I got to clean up this little bit right there, is because the angle in my body doesn't like leaning over the fender that much, and if I stand on a stool, then it hurts my back. It sucks getting old. So I'm going to finish cleaning this up. I've already got that all cleaned up. I do need to put this in a vise so I can clean it up. Then I'm going to go on the ground and take out the old tensioner, and then I will get my shop vac out and clean this all up, wipe it down real good, and start putting the gears back in so I can put this upper cover back on. Okay, so I've worked on this for a couple minutes. You can see all the rubber buildup in here. Might be hard to see. No, I guess it might not be. So it looks like the previous person who took this off used some sort of a very aggressive sandpaper, because it's got lines going this way. And I know it's not this rubber wheel because the rubber's not making it polished. So it's not the wheel. It's definitely something that was here before. So I'm gonna see how much I can clean this up, or I might go online and see how much a thermostat housing costs, and if it's cheap I might just replace it with a good one. Okay, so I just walked out here and put it on the thing, and it rocks back and forth. So I'm gonna try to find one that's flat. All right, go inside and take a look on the internet real quick. All right, well that took all of like 3 seconds. The housing costs a whole whopping $12, so I'll go ahead and get that replaced with a brand new one. And so in the meantime, I need to get that tensioner out of there. Then I'm gonna clean this all up and we'll put the gears back on, and probably this cover gasket. All right, let's see. So we need those 2 bolts, or whatever the fuck they are. They're Allens? I think they're Allens. Yep. Okay, so I gotta figure out what size those are. All right, so I'll have to figure that out real quick. And but everything else looks like it's okay down here. The screen on the oil filter looks good, not plugged. All right, so let me hunt down an Allen and we'll figure out what size that shit is. All right, so those 2 bolts ended up being a T40. That was a pain in the butt. All right, you can see that's got some pretty good grooves in it. I'm not sure how to test if this was bad or not, but I really think it was by the noise it was making. So now we're going to clean everything up and start putting the timing chain back in, and then we'll put this in after we get the cover back on. Oh, before we put the cover back on, so we can see, make sure everything's lined up. All right, so my new kit. Is there a part number on this box somewhere? Yeah, there is. That's the part number I ordered. There's the bottom one. I just slipped it on there. You can see I put the white paint dot on that. There's one on this one as well. I just used a paint pen last night, put a dot on it. It makes my life easier. Here's my upper bolt that goes in the cam. When you're putting these on, don't smack the cam, because you can blow the back plug out, and then you'll have a freaking oil leak for the back cam plug. So just be careful when you do that. I cleaned this all up, and so yeah, should be pretty good. This is pretty much in the same position. 12 o'clock for the cotter pin or keeper, whatever you want to call these things, and then the two dots should line up, and that should be good, and we can get the chain and everything back in, and that'll be next. Well, kind of looks like I'm just half a tooth off, or a tooth off. I might wait and have my neighbor come over and take a look at it, just to have a second pair of eyes. I still don't have the tensioner on there, so that's gonna probably make some adjustments. I just don't want to have to put it on, take it back off. So we'll see what happens. I'm gonna mess around with it for a few more minutes. All right, so that took a bit of fiddling, but it looks pretty straight to me. So that's what we're gonna go with. I'm gonna put the tensioner in and see how things go. And I will need to torque this down to, I believe it's 80 foot-pounds. I'll double check that. But once, I'm gonna go ahead and do the tensioner first. I've got this snugged down right before it starts to put, starts to turn anything, so it should be okay. Let's see what happens. All right, so I got the new one, tensioner in place. Seems like it's okay. I have not changed it from the lock to the unlock position yet. It's still just there. I wanted to make sure that everything was still lined up. But I was looking at the old one, and I wonder if I can take this apart, because it's kind of interesting. Hold on. All right. You can see this nice little rectangle. It's all perfectly smooth. See these ridges at either side that actually go through that? That's what happens when this goes bad. So it just sat in there, wiggling itself back and forth until it ground all of the adjusters out. It's perfectly smooth on the bottom of this, so it's not even grabbing like it's supposed to. See if we can get it better. But yeah, you can see that. Here, let me clean it up. All right, now it's a little cleaner. It's probably easier to see. But yeah, you can see all the grooves where it just kind of wore a nice little smooth box. The bottom of that is completely smooth. There's no grooves for it to grab, because it's supposed to be like a kind of a ratchety thing. As the chain gets more slack, it's supposed to push the block tighter to the chain, this block up here. So it's supposed to push that block up so that it keeps in contact and keeps the pressure. But clearly that one was gone. That's probably why, as it warmed up, it started to get louder. So that's cool. That's definitely an issue. So the other part goes on the other side, but it goes into the chain cover, so it slides in there. So I am going to torque this down. After I torque it down, then I will release the tension on the tensioner, or apply the tensioner, however you want to call it. Basically, you just push down on the little lever that's on the one side right there, and then it will like kind of spring up, making this nice and tight. But it looks like my lines are still straight. I did have to fiddle with things, because apparently when I was getting the bolts out from the crank and the cam, I must have shifted things out just a little bit. But that's something you can definitely do pretty easy. All right, let's see what else I can get done. All right, so I'm gonna have to go inside. It's animals want it fed, wife needs my help, so we're gonna call this part 2, and tomorrow we'll work on part 3, tightening things up, putting the covers on, and start buttoning things down. Thanks for watching.